Hello everyone, and today I have a very important lesson, or one of the most important lessons that you need to know in order for you to improve your academic writing. Today we're going to talk about the four main types of sentences in English: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. As complicated as these terms sound, I will try to make the lesson as simple as possible for you guys to comprehend and understand. In order for us to understand, the first thing we have to know is the difference between dependent and independent clauses. When I say a dependent clause, it means a sentence that cannot stand alone, a sentence that needs a main clause, or a sentence that needs another sentence that has a subject and verb in order for it to be part of that sentence. So if we look at this example, although he is rich, can I just say although he is rich and then not say anything? No. Can I say when I meet the teacher? No. Can I say until you finish and not say anything afterwards? No. So a dependent clause means a clause that depends on another clause, which is the independent clause, which can actually by itself stand alone. So if I were to say, he doesn't want to buy a new car, the meaning is complete. Do I need another sentence for the meaning to be complete in this sentence? No. When I say, I will introduce myself, is the meaning complete? Yes. But if I say, when I meet the teacher, there's something missing, right? However, if I combine the two sentences, when I meet the teacher, I will introduce myself, right? Now I have a dependent plus independent clause together making a complex sentence. Alright. So the basic difference is that these kind of sentences will never stand alone for the meaning to be complete, and these sentences have no problems being on their own because they hold complete meaning. So the first type of sentence is a simple sentence, and a simple sentence simply is an independent clause. It's a sentence that has a subject and has a verb. So a simple sentence has a subject and a verb. It expresses a single complete thought that can stand on its own without the need of a dependent clause. Looking at the examples that we have here, the man ordered a pizza. Here we have a subject and a verb, and then, or a verb predicate. So the sentence is complete and the meaning is complete, expressing one thought. Does this mean that a simple sentence will always have a one subject, one verb? No. A simple sentence can also have an adjective, two subjects, or two verbs. Looking at the second example, Professor John's intelligent students completed and turned in their homework. Here we have an adjective, which is intelligent. And here we have two verbs, completed and turned in. We have completed as the first verb and turned in as a second verb. So the whole sentence has how many ideas? One. Does it have any dependent clauses? No. So it's only one thought, one independent clause. In the third example, we have two subjects and two verbs. Megan and Ron ate too much and felt sick. Megan and Ron, two subjects, ate too much and felt sick. Ate, felt, two verbs. It's still a simple sentence because both verbs sharing the same subjects and express one complete thought. Moving on to compound sentences, and the main difference, or basically, compound sentence is a simple sentence times two. So if you combine two of those sentences using a conjunction, fanboys, for and nor but or yet so, now you have two simple sentences combined with a conjunction. So what you have is a compound sentence. Examples: the shoplifter had stolen clothes, This is a simple sentence, an independent clause. He ran once he saw the police, an independent clause, simple sentence, joined by a conjunction, so. Right? So, in this case, we have a compound sentence because we have two independent clauses or two simple sentences joined by a conjunction. Example 2, they spoke to him in Spanish. He responded in English. And here we have but. So they spoke to him in Spanish, but he responded in English. This is also a compound sentence, combining or joining two independent clauses. Notice what's really important is that in the second part of the sentence and the first, you need to have a subject and verb. So here, if you say, they spoke to him in Spanish, but responded in English, you don't have a compound sentence because the second part doesn't have a subject if we remove the he. But the sentence as is a compound sentence. Complex sentences, basically we have one independent clause and one dependent clause. Go back to the slide where I explain the difference between the two. Looking at the first example, after eating lunch at the Cheesecake Factory, comma, Tim went to the gym to exercise. Which one is the independent clause? It is this part here, because we have a subject, we have a verb predicate, or a subject and verb. In the first part of the sentence, can this part stand alone? If you say after eating lunch at the Cheesecake Factory and stop, the meaning is incomplete. Question, can I switch the independent clause? Can I switch this part of the sentence and take it back here and bring this part here? The answer is yes. However, if you do switch the two parts, you won't need the comma. So if you say Tim went to the gym to exercise after eating lunch at the Cheesecake Factory, in this case you don't need the comma. It's very important to punctuate the sentence correctly. The woman who taught art history to 10 was fired for stealing school supplies. If you take out this part, which is the who part, because we know that the subordinator is used to join the two parts of the complex sentence. Here we have as, because, since, after, although, when, or a relative pronoun such as who, that, which, whose. Alright, so in this case we used who as a relative pronoun. The woman who taught art history to 10, this part of the sentence, because it starts with who, is the dependent part of the sentence, and if we take it out, we're going to be left out with the woman was fired for stealing school supplies, which is an independent sentence. So a complex sentence is an independent clause joined by one or more dependent clauses. And you should always remember that a complex sentence will always have a subordinator or linking word. And here we have the main subordinators as, because, since, after, although, when, and relative pronouns who, that, which, whose, or whom can be used to join the dependent part of the sentence to the independent part of the complex sentence. The last type is compound complex, and basically it is two independent clauses or two simple sentences with at least one dependent clause. One dependent clause. For example, after the two soccer players lost their game, they joined their other teammates for lunch and they went to the movies. You can tell which part of the sentence is the dependent clause, and in this case is the part that starts with after. So after the two soccer players lost their game, with the comma, this is the dependent clause because it's depending on the independent clause that we have here. So here we have two simple sentences or two independent clauses joined by and, which is one of the fanboys. They joined their other teammates for lunch and they went to the movies. Right? So if we take this part out, which is the dependent clause, what do we have? We have a compound sentence. Right? If we remove the last part, which is and, they went to the movies, and keep after the two soccer players lost their game, they joined their other teammates for lunch, then we have a complex sentence. Altogether, we have a compound complex. Other examples: although Mitchell prefers watching romantic films, he rented the latest spy thrillers, and he enjoyed it very much. Same. We have a dependent clause, one dependent, two independent clauses. Laura forgot her friend's birthday, so she sent her card when she finally remembered. To summarize, simple sentence has one independent clause, one main thought. Example: the boy ate the apple. In this case, we have to have a subject and verb predicate. The subject is the boy, and the verb ate what? The apple. So a predicate is verb plus what information we have about the subject. So the boy ate the apple. Compound sentence, it's an independent clause plus an independent clause, joined by what? By a conjunction, fanboys, for and nor but, or yet so. The boy, let's change this sentence to a compound sentence. Here we had the boy ate the apple. Here the boy was hungry, so he ate the apple. In a complex sentence, we have a dependent clause plus an independent clause. Because he was hungry, dependent clause, the boy ate the apple. We changed the simple sentence here to a complex sentence here. How do I make this sentence a compound complex sentence? I'm going to add a dependent clause and another independent clause. So here we have, because he was hungry and tired, dependent clause. The boy ate the apple, independent clause or simple sentence 1, and conjunction from fanboys. He took a nap, a second independent clause or a second simple sentence. And here we have compound complex sentence. How can we use this in writing, especially in IELTS? For example, if you want to use this in the introduction, you will have a better chance of getting a higher band score, because now you're using more academic language. In this introduction, what's in red is a dependent clause, and what's highlighted in green is an independent clause or a simple sentence. So for example, if we look at the first sentence, from the beginning of industrialization to the present day, this is a dependent clause. Here, albeit at a cost in the quality of life, and this is also a dependent clause, usually used in the towards the end of the sentence or the middle of the sentence. And then we have, with an increasing city population, another dependent clause. The complexity of the challenges also increases. This the whole sentence is a compound sentence with the dependent here and the independent part here. The causes and solutions for this are outlined below, a simple sentence. Another example here, we have an essay on the future of education, whether teachers are going to be replaced by robots or not. So, do you agree or disagree, and to what extent? The use of technology in education is becoming more and more popular in today's technological world. This might look like a long sentence, but it's actually a simple sentence, because we don't have two independent clauses and we don't have one dependent clause. There's an argument that due to the increasing use and large integration of technology into education, again, dependent clauses in red, teachers will eventually be replaced by machines, an independent clause. Notice that the thesis statement, or the main sentence in the introduction that you're going to build your essay on, here in this case I use the compound complex sentence, or what's used here is a compound complex sentence. I strongly recommend that your thesis statement, you always use at least a complex sentence. In this case we have, although most educational institutions rely heavily on technology today, a dependent clause, I somewhat disagree that teachers will have no role in the future or in future education, right? One independent clause, because teachers will stimulate and teach students self-discipline. Here another independent clause, making up a compound complex sentence. At the end, I'm going to leave you with this exercise, and what you have to do basically is, after each sentence, you have to decide if it's a simple, complex, compound, or compound complex sentence. You will also have to underline dependent clauses where it applies, where you find them in the sentence. So this is an exercise for you guys to do. If you would like, you can respond to me in the comment, or send me a message, or follow me on Twitter, and I'll give you the feedback for that. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope you found this lesson to be helpful.